Welcome back. This time we're talking about Avengers Infinity War, the third Avengers film and the 19th overall installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Infinity War is the story that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been building toward ever since the mid-credit sequence in the original Avengers film when we first saw Thanos. At the time, we weren't sure what his motives were, but in subsequent films and mid and end credit sequences, we've learned that he is attempting to acquire all of the Infinity Stones. Powerful objects that, if were to ever be combined together, would give him the ultimate power. And that's ultimate power in a universe that already includes a Hulk, gods, and super soldiers. And in Infinity War, Thanos finally puts his plans into motion to gather up these Infinity Stones, most of which we've encountered over the course of the other films. And our various heroes are all going to have to come together and fight against Thanos if they don't want mass destruction and death to reign across the universe. As such, Infinity War brings together pretty much every hero that we've met across the previous 18 movies, whether it's Captain America, Iron Man, the Hulk, Black Widow, Black Panther, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, you name it, they're probably in this movie at some point. And to me, one of the biggest challenges facing writers, directors, Anthony and Joe Russo, were how to give each of these characters their due when there's so many of them. And I have to say, they did a quality job of giving each character at least a moment. Some obviously have larger arcs and bigger moments than others, but everyone seems to at least have a time where they're the focus of the film. And again, with so many characters, that's going to be difficult to do, and I think they pull it off pretty well. The other main challenge is the fact that, again, Thanos has been the threat hovering over these stories ever since the original Avengers. So there's a lot of expectations that this is going to be such a huge, big, consequential story to live up to all of the hype that we've been getting. And again, fortunately, I think they do a very good job with that. Very early on in this movie, they make Thanos very scary. Like, they pretty much set it up where we're like, oh, yeah, there have been villains before, then there's Thanos. Because, let's be honest, for the most part, Thanos has been that guy in the chair through most of his on-screen scenes. He has been, sort of pulling the strings and, for the most part, losing. I mean, he sent Loki to Earth in Avengers to get one of the Infinity Stones. That plan failed. He sent his minions after one of the other Infinity Stones in the Guardians of the Galaxy and failed there as well. So we haven't seen him succeed up to this point. So they, again, do a very good job early on this movie to set up, yes, Thanos is scary. And that also brings me to one of my issues with the movie. Now, I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything like that. I will have a spoiler review up later. But the problem you have with a character like Thanos, and it's a similar one than what they had with Steppenwolf in the Justice League movie, although I feel they handled pretty much everything you could handle better in this movie than in Justice League. But when you have someone that is so powerful that he can take on the more powerful and stronger members of the Avengers, that when he's up against the weaker members, it's kind of hard to believe that they're just not pretty much pasted with one punch. And I think they did a pretty good job of making sure that those characters weren't facing direct blows, for the lack of a better word. But there were a couple times where I'm like, I'm pretty sure that character should be dead. And speaking of dead, now again, no spoilers, but what I will say in this film is, the MCU has gotten through 18 movies before now with not a lot of collateral damage. So believing that suddenly characters are going to start, dying, I'm not sure I'll buy into it right away. But what I will say they do a very good job in this film is through the entire thing, there's a palpable sense that pretty much anyone can die at any time. Even the ones that you're pretty sure know, they've got plans in the future for them. There's a sense that no, this is real. Things could go really badly for certain characters, or pretty much anyone. And whether or not that actually happens, if they get us to believe that in the moment, that's a success, and they did a very good job there. One other particular issue, story-wise, that I want to mention, and again, this is going to be very vague, and I will get into much more detail in my spoiler review, but there's a situation where it sort of comes down to the needs of the few, or the one, outweighing the needs of the many. And there's a reason why the Avengers make certain decisions that they do, and they espouse some rhetoric about why they aren't going to go down this path. But going down the path they choose looks like it's going to result in more sorrow and potentially more death than just the limited impact of what could have happened if they didn't do that. So that's very vague, I know, but it's a particular plot point that I'm not a huge fan of, and there's a significant segment of this movie that relies on it, and that kind of took my enjoyment down a little bit. But overall, it is an issue, but not a back-breaking one. The only other real issue I have with this film, and it's one that I really did enjoy this movie, but I want to be fair and mention some of the negatives. Overall, the special effects in this film are great. There is one instance where those special effects were not as good as the rest. And again, I can't really say specifically what it is, other than to say that there's a character in some kind of suit. And whenever the suit is opened and you can see this character's body, like, kind of sticking out of the suit, those special effects were not good. I was frankly surprised on how poorly they looked, especially compared to all the special effects around them, and how overall the special effects in this film were excellent. It just made these moments all that more glaring. And taking us to the end, I will just say that I think your overall enjoyment of this film is a lot is going to be determined on how well you accept the ending of this movie, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Overall, I enjoyed this film. I'm going to need some more time to decide exactly where it would fall in my overall rankings. And again, some of that is going to be due to things that I can't really talk about and don't want to talk about in the spoiler-free review. It's one that I thoroughly enjoyed. I enjoyed seeing all the characters. I thought they did a good job of juggling so many characters. It doesn't have the same freshness that the original Avengers did, but since we've been introduced to so many more characters since the last Avengers film, this does help in that there's a lot of enjoyment to get out of seeing characters interact that we've never seen interact before on the screen. So overall, Avengers Infinity War is a film that I enjoyed. I have been a fan of the MCU movies, so take that into account when you're considering whether or not you're going to enjoy this as well. But if you've liked the MCU movies up until now, I think that you're going to find a lot to enjoy here. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. What did you think of Avengers Infinity War? And what is your favorite Avengers film thus far? As always, you can subscribe to my channel, check out some of my other reviews, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.